Well, the red stags here at Manuka Point have been here for over 100 years, and many generations have come here to hunt them. Uh, to commemorate 100 years of hunting, we built this superb lodge right here amongst the hunting grounds. The red stags roar this time of the year, which is late March and into April, and that's the most exciting time to hunt them. Although you can hunt them any time from late February right through until mid-August, which is our fall and our winter period.
What is your opinion of the Lazzaroni rifles?
Well, Rudy, I think you know I have a high opinion of the Lazzaroni rifle, but why don't we ask the guide here and see how their Lazzaroni rifles performed?
Well, after 10 days in the field, I can say without a doubt they are the greatest rifles we've had here at Manuka Point. They, I was impressed that you bought two of them, and they're very similar rifles with similar optics on them. Both of the rifles performed fantastically. We were shooting out on the range at 300 and in the field at over 400 yards, and I couldn't be more impressed in the way the animals reacted on the shots was you had to see it to believe it. It's fantastic shooting. I don't think it's just the rifles. I think the hunters have a fair bit to do with it, and you've had a lot of practice with those rifles, obviously. I'm just really, the only disappointing part of the Lazzaroni rifles is the fact that you put them in your case to take them home. But Julie has promised me one for when we go to Africa, so she'll be ordering one for my African trip.
Yeah. So we harvested 5 animals this week. 3 of the 4 on the main part of the ranch here, or Manuka Point Station, went down, died right in their tracks. The 4th one had a killing shot in it and ran about 20 yards, and we put another one in it, but that probably wasn't necessary. And then the most impressive was probably the tar. And you told us how tough the tar were, and I was a little skeptical given they're a little on the small side, but Rudy hit the tar 4 times at about 415 yards, and that animal was able to take that many shots was a testament to the hardiness of that animal.
Mm.
What do you like about the tar hunting?
You do a lot more of it than I do. Why don't you?
Well, the thing about the tar hunting is the terrain element. Like a tar on a flat meadow wouldn't be a tar at all. So we're hunting them on some really precipitous terrain. We're in their terrain. Even the most hardiest of mountaineers would feel out of place where these tar just walk around freely. So the terrain is everything about the tar, and also they have these magnificent coats that they develop during our fall, our autumn now, and into the winter. And the biggest part of picking out a good quality tar is not so much the horn length as getting a beautiful cane. So I just love getting out there, and it's pure wilderness and hunting the magnificent bull tars. Superb. Is that how you found it?
Yeah, the train stood out the most to me. That in the big basin that we were in, I'm guessing that it would have taken us a day to hike from one end to the other around that, and without the helicopter to move around some of these different basins and to retrieve the animal, the tar hunting would be virtually impossible. And I know that Rudy enjoyed the helicopter greatly, and it's the abilities of the pilot and that machine are truly incredible. Don, you're the professional in New Zealand Professional Hunting Guides Association. What are the keys to being a great guide?
Well, there's 3 things that I can think of offhand. The first thing is to be a very good listener and listen to your hunters. So if your hunters are telling you something, or even with their body language telling you something, you should pick up on that and react to it and make sure that you've accomplished what they want. If there's a list of trophies, you work through that list from the most important and work your way down through the list of species. Also, being a good communicator, so being able to communicate well both ways with that. Also having some imagination. So secondly is imagination. So before I go out and guide, I'm always thinking of where we might go to, what we might see, what could be around the corner. Really important. Thirdly, being professional at all times. So having that professionalism and making sure that your equipment's up to speed and being on time, being one step ahead of everybody in the whole group, and putting it all together, and then rounding it off with a nice evening in the lodge. So that's the day. The day of a guide starts early and finishes late, and you really never stop. So get a brief period of sleep at night and you start again tomorrow. And enthusiasm, you have to be very enthusiastic about what you do and get out there and hunt as a team. So it's guiding.
Yep, well, you guys did a great job this week, and it's very civilized to come back and have a spotted tea.
That's it. Well, would you care for a little splash in there?
Oh, that'd be grand.
I think you chaps did a superb job, and it's great to complete it with a spot of tea. Like after 10 days, you certainly earned it. Like,
Yep.
cheers.
Cheers.
Well, these last 10 days have been an absolute pleasure. The having Jim and Rudy here hunting, we've hunted high and low, and they've accomplished so much. I can't believe the ground we've covered and the things we've seen, the animals we've turned down, and the times that we've had. And part of this is to do with your personality. Super intelligent guys, and out in the field, superb sportsmanship, and a father and son team. Having two sons myself, I know how much fun it is to do things together and how precious those moments are. There'll be a period soon where Rudy goes off and tries to make his way in the world, and being able to do things with his father like this are moments to cherish. So congratulations on a fantastic week.
Thank you for a great hunt.
Living here and bringing up a family at Manuka Point is not easy. It's very remote, one of the remotest properties in New Zealand. The question I get asked is, when did you buy Manuka Point? And the answer to that is, I didn't really buy Manuka Point. It bought me 30 years ago, the first time I crossed the river. And in those days we didn't have vehicles, we walked across, and I was lucky enough to hunt up the valley further. And from that point on, I knew I was going to be a hunter, and that was precisely what I wanted to do. So it was a moment I remember 30 years ago, and then fortunately 10 years ago we were in a position to be able to purchase the whole of the property, which is the jewel in the valley, the Rukai Valley, which is exceedingly well known and respected around the world for its hunting. So it bought me 30 years ago, I bought it 10 years ago, and here we are, and long may it continue.
Thank you. Well, boys, tell me how the hunt went this week.
Well, so I've been hunting for the last 10 days here at Manuka Point Lodge. I've been behind the camera sort of half the time, but yeah, it's been an absolutely fantastic time. What do you think, Rudy?
I'd have to agree. It's been really awesome. I've been carrying the rifle a lot, doing a little bit of shooting, and it's all been great. It's a really beautiful place got here, and great animals too. So.
Thanks.
Rudy, what did you like best about the hunt?
My favorite part about the hunt in general, or a specific one?
In general.
I'd have to say the tar hunting was pretty fun. Just kind of going up there and being in the helicopter, looking at the terrain that these animals are able to climb, and it's just crazy. So.
And the terrain that helicopter's able to climb.
Yeah, That's cool too. Blair's a great helicopter pilot.
He is.
And he's maneuvering that helicopter, and the rotors were within like 2 feet of the rock face, so it's a great pilot.
Yeah, it's better to tell Mom about that after the fact.
Yep.
Yeah, fantastic.
Will, what about you? Anything that stood out in our various hunts?
Definitely the Lazzaroni rifles was definitely a first. A very accurate rifle, and absolutely brilliant shooters. Some of the best gear that I've seen as well, with your binoculars and yeah, very very good shooting rifles. Yeah.
Good. What was the best thing outside of hunting that we experienced this week? Why don't we start with you, Will? We did a lot of extracurricular activities this week when the hunting was done.
We sure did. Yeah, definitely flying down to Pringa, down past Mount Cook, and seeing the glaciers and doing the jet boat ride, which we don't normally do, but for this group it's been absolutely fantastic. And stopping in at Hokitika. And also yesterday we went for the hike up the Sugarloaf, and yeah, that was fantastic as well. So
It was good climb. Scree sliding was
yeah, it was
great
fantastic.
fun.
Yeah, it was good fun.
And the jet boat, it's hard to describe to people how exciting that was. And I don't think the photos do it justice as to the high speed and the fast turns and.
That's it. Yeah, Glenn was an absolutely brilliant pilot, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it was a really nice river, perfect day, and yeah.
As we say back home, it was a little western.
It's a little western, yeah.
Rudy,
Cool.
what were the best things for you outside of the hunting?
Outside of the hunting, I think the muster yesterday, that was kind of fun to watch the dogs at work, and probably flying back here from Hokitika with my dad behind the wheel of the plane, so that was pretty fun to watch.
Did that make you uncomfortable?
At the very start, yeah, but then it was pretty smooth, so it was nice.
Nice
yeah.
job, Dad.
Yeah, it was great.
All right. Rudy, anything about the lodge and the meals and the
Yeah,
accommodations?
it's incredible here. Everyone's extremely friendly.
Will, tell me more about just living here and what's it like for you?
Oh, it's been fantastic ever since I moved up here when I was 15, and I started helping out right from when we moved up here and started assisting guiding since I was sort of about 17, helping out, and then the last 2 or 3 years I've been a full-time PH. But yeah, it's been absolutely
Professional hunter.
Yes,
Yeah.
professional hunter. Yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic for our family, and the lifestyle's brilliant. Yeah, it's sort of close enough to town to do some socialising, and yeah, it's just a brilliant spot to be.
The thing that impressed me the most early on was the driveway. That the driveway is about. Well, why don't you describe it? I refer to it that you put the moat in remote.
Yeah, well, it's been described as the best driveway in the world. It's about 1.5 miles of braided river, so you sort of got to pick your channels after every flood, and it's always different. It's always changing. So, yeah.
Yeah, you guys aren't too timid about driving through deep water.
No, we've got well set up vehicles. There's a Land Cruiser out there with the snorkels on them and a Unimog as well. Yeah, but you do get sort of what do you call it? Just used to it, I guess. After 10 years, you get used to it and sort of working with the river. Yeah, just work around it and yeah.
And when you have to, you just helicopter out.
That's it. Yeah, with being with the aircraft as well, it's we can fly down to Christchurch or yeah.
All right. Any other topics we should cover?
I don't know. Do you have anything?
I think it was a great week.
Yeah, it was absolutely brilliant. 10 days. Yeah.
Yeah. Long trip, but we were able to work in a lot of stuff after the hunt.
We sure have.
Yeah. That was definitely a plus, not being kind of scrunched on time.
Yeah, heaps of time.
And the one thing we probably didn't capture in any of my stories or anything else was plenty of relax time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, watching a lot of movies.
Reading, napping, watching movies.
Yeah.
Having coffee and pastries and.
Yeah.
Mhm.
A lot of downtime too, which is good.
Oh, good.
All right, well,
Fantastic.
nice job both of you this week.
Yeah, no, it's been brilliant. No, thank you very much. And well done. Yeah, really good job.
Thank you.
And great hunter.
Cheers.
Hunters.
Cheers.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers.
At Big Mountain Ranch, we do something called the bucket list, where a bunch of guys goes out and tries to do everything there is to do in one day. And as this week progressed, it turned into basically bucket list week at Manuka Point Lodge. The main thing, of course, was the hunting. Rudy and I each shot great red stags. These are by far the best animals we've ever shot in our hunting careers. And then lastly, there was the, not lastly, but the fallow buck hunts. There was some great guiding by Don and Will, and really got on some beautiful bucks, and I took it as a good sign that they were bigger than anything that was in the brochure for Manuka Point. The things that struck me about the main part of the lodge was the reaction of the animals to getting shot by the Lazzaroni. 3 of the 4 animals went down right in their tracks. 2 of them are on video. The third one, sorry about that, Rudy. The other thing that was notable was the weather. That we had 30-40 mile an hour winds and rain for much of the first 3 days, which made the hunting and keeping the gear right and making shots when the wind's blowing you around that much tougher. So that was really notable. Fortunately, the weather cleared. We were able to fly up into the high country behind me via helicopter, and that was some very exciting flying with Don Blair. And Rudy executed beautifully on some 415-yard shots on a Himalayan tahr, a beautiful animal and a really memorable hunt. The good weather allowed us to do a lot more things this week and extend the bucket list week. We hunted small game. We went on a wild boar hunt. We spotted salmon in the river. And one of the best parts was flying through the New Zealand Alps with Ben Patterson in his plane. And we went around Mount Tasman, Mount Cook, some of the highest peaks in New Zealand, and we flew to the south to the Paringa River, where we landed on a 450-foot runway, and we came down real quick to be able to stick the landing in that very small runway. We jet boated up and down the Paringa River from the ocean up to a beautiful lake where the salmon spawn, and it was very thrilling with Glenn driving us and doing slalom through the different hazards, the logs and rocks and such through the river. It was one of the prettiest and most exciting things I've ever done. After we left Paringa, we flew up the west coast to Hokitika, and actually Rudy flew us about half the way in Ben's Cessna, and it was a good experience for Rudy. We visited this small coastal town for a while Ben flew some other clients, and then it was back to Manuka Point Lodge. We had to just fly over the Alps. Sounds relatively simple, but the hard part was Ben gave me the controls this time, and I flew through the steep mountain valleys, and it was one of the most exhilarating experiences of my life, maneuvering a plane for the first time and having to move up and down and maneuver around some of these valleys, and I'm sure Rudy was a little nervous. Yesterday, our last full day here, we also did a lot of things. We mustered sheep with the dogs, moving them up the valley here behind us. We also climbed Sugarloaf Mountain, a tall peak to the north of us here. Took us a couple hours to get up there. Will took Rudy and I up there. And the highlight was coming off the mountain. We had to go down a scree slope, about 800 to 1,000 feet of scree field, which we were able to descend in a couple of minutes because we surfed down it as fast as we could. Rudy was pretty skeptical at the start, but he realized what a thrill it was to be able to surf down this rock, leaning back on a stick, and going for a ride. We worked hard this week to videotape almost everything that we did, and hopefully that'll show up later. One of the best parts of being here is just the beauty of Manuka Point Station, the wonderful facility you have here. We ate like kings. Julie fed us incredibly well this week, and always have appetizers and drinks and terrific meals. And just the hospitality and the wonderful company of Don and Julie and Will and Ben Patterson, as well as Tom Campbell, is what it made it really truly special for us this week here at Manuka Point.